A good realtor will spend 3 hours a day calling. This is not your typical boring real estate show. This is real estate marketing redefined, uncensored, and unedited in what's working today in the market minus the fluff. This is Real Estate Marketing Dude, because just having a license isn't enough. Now please welcome your host, the unprofessional professional, Mike Cuevas.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. All right, folks, we are going to kick in the ass a little bit today, and we need to talk a little bit more about being a little bit motivational. If anyone has, let me put it this way. If I want you to agree or disagree with me. 2020 has been one of the weirdest years ever in history. And because it's been such a weird year, there are more people than ever facing depression, self-limiting beliefs, loss of confidence. And what we're going to do right now is sort of talk about how to overcome all of that shit. Like, seriously, when this first thing happened with coronavirus, we were all scared, right? We all were scared. We're like, what's going to happen? Is the market going to crash? Am I going to lose clients? Am I going to do this? But we didn't sit there and ponder on like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We started creating new products. We started creating new services. We reached out to all of our clients, and we did everything we could to survive and tread water during one of the most unforeseen times that I can remember since September 11th, to be honest with you. So what we're going to be chatting about is just that. And who we're going to introduce in just a second is somebody who's got quite a track record. Like, literally, she started out her real estate career at the age of 19. She just got done telling me she just built a damn subdivision. And I'm a little jealous because she's younger than me. She's probably about 7-8 years younger than I am. This chick's building fucking subdivisions. And here I am talking to all of you guys. So I'm a little jealous here. And what we're going to do is introduce our guest, and she's going to walk us through really how she does this. Folks, mindset, I believe, is everything. And when you can learn to love yourself and embrace your own strengths and or weaknesses and really have a clear vision as to what you want, it's just a matter of taking action, right? So that's what we're going to chat about today. And I think it's well needed, especially in the time it is. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce our guest. But she doesn't like pronouncing her last name because I'm going to say it right, I think. But she goes by the name of Stacy B, otherwise known as Stacy Bahrenfuss. Did I get that right, Stacy?
Yes, you did, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'm so happy. All right, Stacy, please go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to get right on into this.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing.
So I have been in the state of Idaho, still where I reside, my entire life, and have been building my real estate career since, like Mike said, the age of 19. And I'm just going to go back a little bit before that time period. I had a pretty challenging upbringing and had a lot of chaos and was constantly, needing to find the order in life. And at the age of 17, I was joking around with some friends and said, I'm going to just go out on a limb here and apply at the local resort real estate office. And I ended up being hired as an administrative assistant part-time while I finished high school. And that's really when, my eyes were open to the real estate industry. And I saw a gap that I could fill, which was, that client delivery and client experience based upon what I was seeing, in the day-to-day. And so I started that, just fell in love with real estate, and then proceeded to get my license at 19. And along the way, I really attribute my success to my rituals, mindset, motivation that I've built for myself because I didn't come from that kind of environment. And, my track record speaks to that, in that you can truly create anything that you want in your life if you have the right tools to support yourself internally to create that inside out success, as I call it. So over the past 14 years, like I said, I've had a real estate team. I've been the designated broker. I've built a subdivision, all in an effort to show people the way and simplify things, because real estate in and of itself is intimidating. It's a little daunting, because there's so much to it. And so I'm definitely on a mission to simplify that so that everyone can build whatever it is they want.
Awesome. I love it. And, you mentioned something really quick, and we don't have to go into this, but it sounds like you were sort of shaped and molded at an early age. Like, you didn't really have a choice. I mean, you had to figure this stuff out on your own, I'm assuming. And for those of us that have gone through rough patches in life, whether regardless of how old you are, regardless of whether you have it good or you have it rough, the same thing is going to apply. These rituals that we're going to get into are going to be required no matter what side of the tape you're on. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, definitely.
So the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't want anybody out there to say, oh, well, this isn't going to work for me because I had this, or I can't do it because I was born this way. No. That's that's your own self-limiting beliefs. What we're going to do is crush all of that right here on this show. So let's walk through and start with this rituals for success, right? 17 years old, you get into you get hired and you get your real estate license at 19 years old. So I started at 22. I remember walking down Michigan Avenue with a suit on, and a week before I was doing keg stands with my fraternity brothers. And I was like, how the hell is anyone going to take me serious? And that was the biggest thing. So for all of those newly licensed agents that are very young, most of you don't even own a house yet, how did you get started with that? Because let's be honest, you're 19 and you were able to build the trust of other people. I did it at 22. There's a lot of people right now that don't even have the confidence at the age of 45. So let's start with this. And I'm curious to know how 19 and how you gained the trust of people and what you did back then.
Yes. So, at the core of it, like you just mentioned, it's confidence, and I think one misunderstanding that people have is that confidence is something that, you, Mike, you have, or Stacy has, and it's something that we had to build. It wasn't something that we were born with. We didn't come out the chute, fully powered with confidence and dialed in that way. We had to build it. We had to create these things for ourselves. And if you look at any amazing person in history, they were insecure. There are documented, stories or examples of how they doubted themselves or, fought depression or had challenges. And so I think that's the first thing, is understanding that it's confidence and you have to build it. In that, what does it take to build that confidence? And a lot of times, it's modeling, who do you want to become? Thinking about things almost like you are your future self looking back to who you are today. And I've even made lists of all of those qualities. And that's something I did a lot of when I was younger, because, what makes you trust me is different than other trust from other people. And so I did a lot of that. I did a lot of, who do I need to become to be equipped to treat these clients the way that they deserve and to be a top real estate agent? And then I also took it a step further, which was, not only focusing on that confidence piece, but asking myself, if I were in their shoes, what would I need to trust someone? And simple things like communication, making sure that things are followed through with, details are attended to. It's all so simple, but if you connect the dots for people, it creates such trust in you. And if you can, not only stop at that, the tactical piece of, being a fantastic real estate agent, take it a step further and try to bring the hope to people and reassure people and be the leader for people to lead and guide them through whatever stage of the process they're in. And so the focus on those things really helped me build that, because I didn't have it. I remember cutting my hair super short, which I don't know why I did that looking back, because I didn't look
like
older.
The mom,
I looked a lot younger.
Like the mom cut?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a mom cut, but it was close. No.
That's funny you say it, because I did something similar. I remember my first showings, I didn't know my way around the city of Chicago. I grew up in the suburbs, and back then we didn't have Google Maps. We had a thing called MapQuest. So I used to have to drive the route the day before of the showings. Like, imagine how big of a headache that was, just because I didn't want the clients to see me looking. I'm supposed to know the market, right? And me being like, where are we at? Yet I'm supposed to be the expert. So little things like that. I used to study the MLS when I didn't have clients. I would go through it and just be like, all right, I need to learn the neighborhoods. I need to learn the pricing. These are little things that you do with confidence boosters.
Yes. And that's something I did as well. I remember going to showings, and it was a 10 o'clock showing, but I'd go out at 7 or 8 to drive the route, same as you, and just be able to, be knowledgeable about each section of town.
So first is, you're saying you started off by just learning your trade, like learn your craft, know it in and out. And that's what people are really hiring us for. I mean, what the hell else is the point? Like, you guys, people don't need a realtor anymore. They need us to confirm their buying or selling decisions. And if you don't really know what that is, I don't think you're going to be in the business that long. Let's get into these rituals because I want to know how you brought this out, because you started at 17, 19, but you've had a brokerage. You've done all these like awesome things, and you're still really, really, really young. And that takes a certain individual, and it starts with mindset. So I want to go through and see what you've created here in terms of like this strategy, because maybe I'm going to start using it, and who knows, maybe I'll build a subdivision next month. So let's walk us through all of that, and let's see how that, I'm curious to learn how this works and how you tackle something. And I'm assuming that what she's going to give us, folks, is almost like a strategy, but laid out in a way that, so like for those of you who are stuck, like I want to be the top $1 million agent. Great. Follow this advice. Or for me, I want to go out and do this. Great. Follow this advice. So how do you wrap your head around a challenge, I guess we're going to say, or go ahead and take it away, because I don't even know what the right.
Yeah. And this is part of what I teach, and I call it the inside out success method. And what I've done is broken down truly what I've had to do, not even what I wanted to do, but because of life challenges, like what I had to do to get myself to the point, that I could produce at a high level. And so what that looks like, number one, is identify what it is that you want. And this sounds very simple, but so often people are not actually going for what they want. They're going for what they think they can achieve. And so there is a distinction to be made, because a lot of people are settling or, doing whatever everyone else is doing. So it's really important to ask yourself, okay, what is it that I want, and why is that important to me? What's really important then is to make sure and decide on that, not necessarily, going backwards because you don't know all the steps. Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just take that first step. It's that idea. So that's, step one. Step two is see that, like, where are you now and what's that gap? And line out all of the things that you can do. And then line out all of the things. And when I say line out, I mean make a list of all of the things that you think could come up, but you don't have answers to. Then write out who are the people that could help you get those answers, or resources that could help guide you along the way. Knowing that is so important, but it's incomplete without the final step, which is seeing the situation and invoking the emotions that you think you're going to have once you achieve that goal, and creating those now. And I'm going to just give you an example. With my subdivision, we thought we were going to be done in 9 months, maybe 12 at the most. It ended up going for 2 years, too long. But in all of that, great lessons. But what I would do towards the end is I would imagine the buyers walking through one of the houses and loving the house, because, you get feedback. People don't like this. People don't like the backyard. I would see them loving the house, and I would think about how I would feel once this project is complete. So I made a list, it's like I would feel relieved. I would feel free. I would feel, excited to take action on the things I've waited on, because I've needed to focus and finish this project. And so every day I would focus on that. And what's so cool is we learn that we are complete just as we are. And that is the magic. That's the secret. We often are going for these things in life because we think that we're going to be different once we get there. We're going to be happy once we get there. And if we can cultivate those feelings now and understand it's not outside of us, it's inside, then we are absolutely limitless. And that's my whole, methodology to teach, is tying this internal work in with high performing results and tying this all together. So just to pinpoint these points. So step one, what do you want? Step two, where are you now? See that gap, line out what you have to accomplish it and what you need, and then list out what are the emotions you think you're going to feel once you achieve this goal, and choose to feel them now and practice them. So that is important from that results and performance side of things. So the other side of it is what I call the triple threat. And this is my daily practice. It's 3 minutes of conscious breathing. So that's the first step of the triple threat. And conscious breathing is my inhalation is shorter than my exhalation. So my exhalation, is double what my inhalation is. So 3 breaths in, 6 count out. do that. Set your phone timer for 3 minutes. The second thing is then write down 3 things you're grateful for. The third is to study your 3 top short and long-term goals, which connects you to what I spoke about earlier. And so this methodology is one that not only, preps and primes your internal state so that you're ready to rock and roll each morning, but you are so connected to the person that you want to become that it happens so much faster. And I truly have to, give this the credit to my path, because my path to this is because of this practice. I have done a lot in 10 years and 14 years, because it's this focus of, who am I in this future state, combined with a calm, clear internal state that allows me to make decisions that connect to that longer term result I'm going after.
I like it. Can we do a role play as like an agent, just so we can give people some? So I want to pretend I'm a brand new agent.
Yes.
And I want to go through, well, I'll just say I'm under 3 years into business, not like I'm up and running, but I'm not like set.
Okay.
All right. So let's go through. So I want to say where I want to go. So this is for all you guys, whether you're lending or not. So I want to be doing 20 transactions a year.
Okay.
And that's going to equate into roughly just say $150,000 in GCI. Okay. That is my goal. So I want to start with there. I'm going to write these things down.
Yes.
Where I'm at right now is I did 5 transactions this year, and I might get up to 10 if I'm lucky.
Okay. So what I would just ask, if I may,
Shoot.
Is when you start to evaluate where you want to be, is a lot of times what I see, and it happened with myself as well, is I was truly wanting to earn $150,000. I was not taking out the taxes, the brokerage cut, and all of that. So just in the planning process, keep that in mind so that you really go for what you want, because nothing is worse, I've experienced it, than getting to the destination and it not being what you thought it was.
Let me ask you this though, by me starting with a monetary goal, am I already shooting myself in the foot?
Not necessarily. I think we're at different places in our life in different times, right? If we are getting into real estate for the money, I think there is a disconnect there, because that isn't going to carry you through the hard times. I think that if you have a deeper purpose of you truly want to help people, or you want to make a difference in some way, or it could be something completely different. It could be revolutionizing how video is used in real estate. There's so many options, but I think it's really important to connect to that, because the money is a byproduct when you help that, a lot of people.
Yeah, I would think if for a lot of new agents, if they start with monetary, I think it's almost because they're not getting the feelings off what they want to feel. Because as a new agent, really what I'm saying is I want security, right? I want peace. I want stability. Because if in that example, I was saying I only wanted to do 20 transactions a year, which is great for, it's more than the average agent, but it's not by any means you're not going to become a multimillionaire,
right?
Unless you work in San Francisco, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, if I don't have my feelings first. So walk me back through the feeling part of this.
Yes. So just in this example, so that people can really take something away and put it to use right away, is, when you are getting into real estate, check yourself and ask yourself, what is it that you're seeking? What is it that you're after? And 9 times out of 10, you can see that there's a void in some way. It could be you want to prove yourself. You want to prove you're worthy. You want to matter. You want significance. Or to your point, you want certainty, variety, whatever it is. So the emotional side of that is the more honest you are with yourself about yourself, it just sets you up for such success. And so the emotion side of it could be, checking yourself. I'm seeking this to fill what I'm seeing, as a void in myself, and understanding that that's a void only you can fill. And what are those emotions? So let's just take an example of, significance. I want to go into real estate and make $150,000 because I want to matter. I'm going to be significant. That's coming from the ego, and it's not sustainable. It's going to crash. And so the energy doesn't come from there, right? And so if you
see, now I get it. That
connecting to your true, they talk about your big why. And for me, that was like, God, that's so vague and big out there. I can't connect to it. And as soon as I was able to see, I was coming from trying to show my worth, right? And it's unsustainable. It's never ending. It's a vicious cycle. So the moment that came from myself, that was something that only I could do, everything got a lot easier. And so I think just, connecting to the emotion of whatever it is. So you're not coming from what I call, like a suffering state. You're not coming from a stressed state. You're coming from a calm state, a true state, one that can stand the test of time. It doesn't mean that it never changes. It changes a lot over the course of your career. But if you can just get clear on that starting point, that's what I would love people to take away from this. It's something that, I wish I would have known going into it.
So is it safe to say that most people think they're doing something for the reason, but they're really not actually doing it for that reason?
Right.
So like when I say I want to make more money, there's really an underlying cause why I want to make more money.
Right.
If they're saying I want to sell more houses, it's not because I want to make, or on the opposite, it's not because I want to make more money. It's because I want to be number one on the leaderboard and I want recognition.
Right.
So figure out what the emotional feeling is first to the cause.
Right.
Before you do the cause. Now, when I take these emotions and I figure that out, now walk me back through that.
Yeah. So once you walk through that, there isn't anything to do once you see the emotion that the void that you're trying to fill. That is a conversation between you, and yourself. There isn't anything you have to do with that. But once you see that truth, you'll notice that it gets very calm and you can create very quickly. So once you see that truth, then we can go into where I am, which is the 5 transactions. I want to go to 20. And now how do we do that? Then what I recommend is do not focus on more than 3. If you can do just one source of lead generation, I recommend that. But choose at most 3 sources. And what I mean is, either for sale by owners, builders, expireds, cancels, social media, whatever that category is, sources as we call it, then who you're going to reach out to week, and you're not flailing, because there's so much that can come at you in real estate that if you have that focus plan from the beginning, you can really, rock and roll quickly.
Well, most people have squirrel syndrome.
Yes.
And they see another object and they go on Facebook and then there's a new autoresponder and then there's the latest CRM and then there's this and all this. And you're saying basically pick out and be really good at X amount of things before you take on too much.
Yes. So once you do that, then, and this is part of what our system is, we take, the income you want to make, the source you want to focus on, and then tell you, this is the number of people that you need to call based on conversions nationwide to equal and get you to that income goal that you want. And so that's the tactical side of it, is knowing who to call, how many to call each day. And the magic number to go from, I went from 6 million a year to 32 million in just 1 year. And I just did 20 people. So 20 new connections every single day. I set 2 appointments every day. And that is what took, the volume to that level. So
it's almost like disciplined action steps.
Yes.
That as long as they're consistent, like you're going to make it.
Exactly.
And why do you think most people have so much? Because the way that you laid that out was very simple to understand. And it's almost like common sense if we think about it, but it's not. Mm-hmm. Because if it was, everyone would be doing it. So why do we get so freaking lost in all of this? Because you're right, is like the biggest thing I see with all these agents. Like here's the one thing that drives me nuts is you see a lot of real estate agents will, if you go on any of the Facebook groups, they spend 90% of the conversation talking about lead generation and door knocking and cold calling. All of these different things that less than 10% of business originate from. Mm-hmm. And they're constantly chasing these shiny objects and worrying about a lot of things that don't matter, that sound really sexy, right? But at the end of the day, do they really push the needle? Most times, no. So how does somebody focus that? And what areas do you start off in? Like what's areas that any agent can utilize? And you're saying basically pick the 3 that you're focused with now or your strengths. Like what's your advice for that? If agents can say, well, I heard one guru told me Facebook ads. Then another guru told me to get on video. Then another guru told me this. So like, what do you do in that sense?
Yeah. And so this is that inside out method that I was talking about is you know you best. And we are conditioned in society to not trust ourselves. People make a lot of money off of, other people, feeling like we're missing something and we don't know the way. And, don't misunderstand. You need to learn certain things and mentor certain things and go through trainings to learn the business. But what I'm saying is that when you start, whether you're a new agent or a seasoned agent, if you focus on the things you truly love, not the Facebook ads, if you are an outgoing, gregarious, social person, do networking, do those BNI groups, do those things that fill your cup, because that is going to be what you believe in when times get tough. And it's going to excite you, which equals energy long-term. And so that's what I highly recommend, instead of following all of these people that are simply one step ahead of you because they're also blind trying to figure it out. Check yourself and go, what is it that I really enjoy? If you're really into cars, there are so many car clubs. I can't tell you the amount of high-end business one of my agents gets from his car club that he goes to every Saturday, So it's really important long-term if you can focus on those things. Now, there are so many amazing strategies out there that can be, the gravy or the cream on top when you've hit all your numbers with your focus points, and, you can learn another strategy, but, nothing is going to replace no foundation. And that's really what we're talking about, right? Is we aren't taught in real estate of how to set this up. And that's why people are trying everything and not doing anything well. They're just trying to, figure all of this out.
I think you're right on. I think that 87% of newly licensed agents don't make it. It's 4 out of 5. That's like 4.5 out of 5 don't make it after 5 years in the business. And it's because you're right. Most people are taught to do the wrong things, or not necessarily the wrong things, but do things that are not right for them. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, here's a perfect example. Like my first broker, he's like, here's a bunch of leads. He gave me the Glenn Ross leads, right? Okay. The ones that were like sitting on the books. And literally I remember getting a packet of papers this big, and paper. It wasn't even on an internet software. And I had to go through and I started calling all of those leads. Very quickly, I'm like, you know what? If this is what this business is, I am not going to make it, because I do not like cold calling. I don't like door knocking. I don't like interrupting anybody. Like, I don't like interrupted marketing. I don't like any of this stuff. Like, I don't want to, get away from me. And I had to figure out referrals for me, which is always my thing. But you're right. It's like you got to sit back. There's a path for everybody in this business. Mm-hmm. Because it's just a matter of which one is right for you. Like if you're not a prospecting agent and you're setting yourself for prospecting, you're not going to make it.
Right. And a team might be a good fit for you just because, there are those other positions within a team that just are, whether it's a showing assistant, or something like that.
Makes sense. Any final touches you want to add on here? And with anybody, if you don't mind, go ahead and give us a quick summary on this too. Walk people through these steps, how it works again real quick. And then if not, we'll get this wrapped up.
Yeah, I think, just to summarize what we've talked about, because there was a lot, is just to, have these focus points of be clear of what it is that you want, and don't talk yourself out of it, or, don't let your mind get involved and get off course, or, lower your expectations of what you truly want. So really go all out, because you can achieve anything that you want. You just have to figure it out step by step. So, figure that out. Whatever the gap is, just know that there are resources that will show up when you don't have those resources. When I was building the 11 houses, I made the offer and I had no idea how I was going to come up with the financing, but I exhausted every option and I found a lender that would do the ground, work and also finance the construction. I had no idea that would be an option, because I hadn't built before. I'd represented a lot of builders, but I hadn't done it myself. So, that's just an option of when you show up absolutely with 150% conviction of this is what I'm doing, your resources will show up in ways that you had no idea. The last piece to touch on is set up that daily routine. There are a lot of great, books out there. I'll of course keep you posted, Mike. I'm working on the book, which will be in regards to the development and this practice, but figure out your morning routine and make sure that you focus on gratitude. You use that 3-minute meditation. That's something that you can do before a meeting you're nervous about. You can do it after a stressful client interaction. And you think so much differently when you are calm and coming from that state. And just keep your goals top of mind. Like I said earlier, anything is truly possible if you commit to it and decide that it's going to happen.
I agree. Good show. And folks, don't overthink this stuff. Like, you have to be absolutely clear on your mission and know why you're doing it. I think what I got most out of the show, you sort of brought me back down to earth too. Don't do it for the money. Do it for the reasons why you're thinking you want to do for the money. And once you're there, commit to it each and every day, whether that's 10 minutes a day, 3 hours a day, whatever that calls for. Stick with it. And as in anything, when you work at something hard, things eventually come. If you remember, there's a story called the Tortoise versus the Hare. And the tortoise is very consistent throughout, right? And he ends up winning the race down at the end of the story. Why? Because he got up and he kept the same pace and he just kept on going for it. So I think that's the lesson that we learned from here today. And folks, if you're even thinking about how to get started on video and you need that whole plan, what we just lined up for is exactly what I have for you. We will absolutely find you a video strategy that is appropriate for you. Then we'll script, edit, and distribute all your video content for you going forward. So folks, if you're interested in that and how that gets done and how we create all that stuff around your brand, feel free to visit our website, realestatemarketingdude.com. Also, thank you so much for subscribing to the show. We are going to hit 1 million views this month or this year, or 1 million downloads. And we appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in each and every week, because we have great guests like Stacy B on the show. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and follow us on Facebook as well. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening to another episode, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Today's episode may be over, but we have plenty more to keep you busy. To get your complete blueprint for building out a real marketing plan for your real estate business, head over to realestatemarketingdude.com and see if you have what it takes to really become more than just a typical agent. Are you the next real estate marketing dude? Find out here next time on Real Estate Marketing Dude.